Hi, I'm Jeff DeRiso from Beckman Collaborative, and today I'm going to show you how to periodically clean your CRM data with Zoho DataPrep. DataPrep allows us to create a data pipeline to import our data from CRM and then create rules to ensure consistent formatting for our data. For example, we may always want to capitalize the first letter of a first and last name or a company name. Or we may want to make sure our phone number data is consistently formatted. And then once the rules have been applied to your data, it gets re-imported into your CRM so that you have consistent data formatting for reporting purposes. This can be especially helpful if you're consistently importing data from sources that are known for data quality issues, such as importing from a spreadsheet or a web form. So let's get into Zoho DataPrep and I'll show you how it works. Okay, here we are in Zoho DataPrep. We're on our home dashboard page here, and our main tabs at the top are pipelines, workspaces, and jobs. Pipeline is what we're going to be creating today. A workspace is simply a group of pipelines, so we can group them and categorize them. And jobs is each time a pipeline runs, that is one job. So we can come to this dashboard or go to this jobs tab to get specific details about each time one of our pipelines runs. So before we create our first pipeline, I just want to go over to Zoho CRM real quick to show you the data that we're going to be using today for this tutorial. All right, we're here in Zoho CRM in our leads module, and you can see I have some sample leads in here, and we do have some data quality issues. We have some capitalization problems in the name and the company name. And we have some phone number inconsistencies, as well as capitalization issues with the city and state. And let's say that this data is coming in from a web form. So because we're allowing the user to type in values, that is subject to data quality issues. Obviously, there can be typos and things like that. So that's an ideal situation where you need to use Zoho DataPrep. So let's go back to DataPrep and we'll set up our pipeline. Okay, so the way to create a pipeline is go to create new pipeline. Or if we have an existing workspace, we can go to our workspace and then go to create new pipeline. And we'll call this leads cleanup. And we'll click add data here. And you see we have several possible sources of data. We have cloud storage platforms and cloud database platforms. But what we're doing for this video is importing our data from Zoho CRM and then exporting it back to Zoho CRM. We choose our environment, production or sandbox, our organization. We choose whether we want to import data from the beginning or from a custom date. The first time you do this, you might want to do it from the beginning to clean up all your data before you move forward with a scheduled update. So I'm going to choose my module, which is leads, and click import. And it's going to import all your data, and this will take a few minutes, especially if you have a large volume of data. So now our leads have been imported successfully, and you see we have this second step here, which is where we do our data prep transformation. So we'll click on this leads 1. We could also rename this cleaned, just to be a little more clear about what's happening in the stage. And we'll double click that. So you see our data has been brought here into the data prep screen. And the first thing we want to do is select all our necessary columns. We need to select first our ID column and also all our mandatory fields, which in our case is just company, first name, and last name. And we also, of course, want to select all the columns that we want to affect with our data preparation. So we start with ID and we click on a column and we hold Control to select others. We want to get our company, first name, last name. We want to get our phone, and we'll do our mobile phone as well. And we'll scroll over to city and state. And now we'll right click and select columns here. This gives us a chance to rename them if we want to, but that's not necessary for our case. So we'll click apply. Okay, so now we've cleaned up so we can see only the columns that we're working with here. So the first thing we want to do is update the company, first name, last name, and the city columns to have what's called title case, which is the first letter of every word is capitalized. So what we'll do for that is we'll select all those columns by holding Control once again. The city as well. And then we'll right click and we'll select Change Case. And we select Title Case and it gives us a preview and we can see that it's correctly changing the first letter of each word to be uppercase. So we'll click Apply. So now we've successfully applied that to our company first name. It looks like the parentheses created a little bit of an issue here, but we won't worry about it because last names don't normally contain parentheses. So it looks like other than that, we have corrected our city and our names and our company names to be title case. So now that we've corrected that, we want to select our state column and change case to uppercase. We want this to be our uppercase abbreviation. So we'll click Apply. Okay, so we've successfully changed our text values. Now we need to work on these phone number values. So in Zoho CRM, the way it works is if you have your United States 10-digit phone numbers, you simply type in the 10-digit number without any special characters, and Zoho CRM will automatically format it with the parentheses and dashes. So what we actually want to do is select these columns and remove all the special characters. So we'll select both phone and mobile again by holding Control. We'll right click and we select Replace. So for our replace options, we're choosing matching text or pattern. And for the text or pattern to match, we can select from the patterns here. What we want to do is remove any special characters. So we choose special character, and you can see in our preview, it's removed all the special characters. So I'm going to click Apply for both the columns phone and mobile. And of course, we've now corrected our phone and mobile values so that it's just numbers, no special characters. And in our current data, we don't have any spaces, but if we want to remove spaces, we can simply do the replace function again, add pattern, choose white space, and it'll remove any white spaces that we have within our values. I'm going to click cancel. So now we've corrected all of our data, and what we need to do is add our destination. So we'll click add destination. And of course, we have this large set of options once again. So this gives you an idea of the capability of DataPrep, but we are once again going to choose Zoho CRM. So we choose our module, which is leads, and we choose whether we want to add, update, or both add and update. For our case, we're only going to be updating existing records, and we're matching based on that unique ID field, of course. And we want to check skip emptying a field when updating existing records, just to be extra safe. And then we have this delete records in Zoho CRM box, which for this use case, we definitely want to uncheck because we're simply updating existing records and we never want this for any reason to delete records. So then we click save. Okay, and then the next thing we need to do is go back to our data prep here. And we go to this target icon here, which says target matching. We click show target. And you see we've got all green checks here. So that means that there won't be any errors. There's no invalid data in any of these columns. And they are formatted correctly for importing back into the CRM. But if we see any of these yellow exclamation marks or a red X over any of our active columns that we want to import, then we'll have to troubleshoot that. If you have the yellow exclamation icon, you can simply click it and it will make updates to the column. So now we go back to our pipeline. And now we want to do a manual run on all of our data. So we click run here in the top right corner. And we can choose to stop export if data has invalid values. I'll just leave that. And we can also choose to refresh our data. So if while we're doing this data prep, some data has been updated, we can refresh it one more time before we run it. But for now, I'm just going to use existing data and click run. So now we're brought to our job summary screen, and you can see the status is running. And as soon as this is completed, we will get a status update on whether it was successful or it failed. And like our initial setup, this does take a few minutes. You can see we've successfully run our pipeline and we've gotten our success message, so there were no errors on import. We see that it took 32 seconds, how many rows were processed, and we have more information about that in these other tabs, and we can drill down to see exactly what happened to each column. So now that we know that this was run successfully, let's head over to Zoho CRM and refresh the page and see if our leads have been cleaned up. We've refreshed the page, and now you see that all of the updates we made in our pipeline have been applied to all of the leads in our CRM. We've successfully capitalized the first and last name correctly, the company name. We've reformatted our phone numbers, so now they're all properly formatted the exact same way. And we also have our city and state properly formatted. And now the last thing we want to do is schedule it for all new leads that are coming in. So we're back in data prep here. We'll go back to our pipeline screen, pipeline builder screen, and we want to click schedule. And this is where we choose our schedule frequency. We can choose to do it hourly, daily, weekly, or monthly. I'll choose to do it daily. And at what time of day? 6 Central Time. And we can also, at this point, update our import configuration because we no longer want to import all data every time because we've already corrected all of our historical data in our manual run. So now we want only modified and new data. So anytime a new lead is added or a lead is modified, they will be imported into this pipeline after the update happens. And we have this checkbox here that says use existing data if new data is not available. And we can uncheck that because we don't want to unnecessarily modify data that has already been cleaned. So we'll click save, and we'll click save on our schedule settings. And now you see we have successfully scheduled our pipeline. So if we go back to our home screen, we can see successful jobs, and we go to our jobs tab, and that gives us, of course, that takes us back to our job summary. So that is how you create a pipeline in Zoho DataPrep to clean up your CRM data. And of course, I'm sure as you watch this, you could think of several other use cases for this as well. Importing data from a spreadsheet periodically or backing up data to a spreadsheet periodically would also be good use cases for data prep. One more thing I want to mention is that any update that we do to a field with our data pipelines and data prep will not trigger workflows in Zoho CRM. So if you're looking to update data so that it triggers workflows, you'll have to achieve that using custom functions written in Deluge scripting language. And we have several other videos on that topic. So check out those videos if you're interested in that. But if you're just cleaning your data, you're not changing the value itself, you're simply changing the way that column is formatted, then this is the ideal solution for you. So as always, please leave any questions or thoughts you have in the comments and subscribe to this channel if you haven't already. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you on the next one.